Hey everybody, it is Kit here. I'm hoping to get this up on Wednesday. Sorry for not getting it done on Sunday. Welcome back to our crochet video. Um, I have no idea exactly how this is going to go. Probably going to make it a little shorter than normal. But we are going to continue with the reading of Chicago, and hopefully I can get a row or two done in that time frame. Whatever time frame it's going to be. My parents were coming back and I had a bunch of other things to do and I did not have time to do this. I should have worked on it earlier in the week, but I was working on studying for my test instead. But we're doing it now. Does that count? I hope y'all are having a great week and yeah, without further ado. Previously we were reading about Winters going into the vampire infested hotel, which is their headquarters, to get the second authentication uh, device that is needed to access the vampire's phone and to get into the private data servers that the guys need. Winters went on her own because she has a specific skill set that allows her to go in instead of the guys, because, well, she can go invisible, seemingly, and pop in and out of the shadows, seemingly. I say seemingly because they're guessing at this point. All the guys can do, and they can do a lot of things, but they can shift into a tiger and a coyote, which is not going to help them infiltrate a hotel full of vampires. And they have been watching her and stressing the hell out through cameras because as much as she frustrates them 6 ways to Sunday, they don't exactly hate her. They don't exactly want her to die. It's a very stressful mission, and yeah. Also, apparently, she went and she got her jacket back as well. However, she did get them the second authenticator device, but they're just a little bit all sorts of emotions haywire everywhere. So yeah, let's continue. Um, Thankfully, she was quick, and after only 2 minutes did she exit the room, looking no different than before, but with a new sense of urgency about her. Oh, okay. Why is my text doing that noise? Weird. Okay, sorry. She hobbled faster, going back the way she came before, until a look of panic came over her and she just disappeared. Dom, what's happening? Green's voice spiked with his heart rate. Ben flicked through the feeds, once again searching for Winters. A fire. Anything? I'm not sure. There's no chatter. It's just past 4 a.m. There's an alarm in the system, but no fire anywhere. Boom. A faint sound of a cannon went off, and Cooper's eyes widened out the window. Holy shit. Green! The hotel just blew up. The window blinds almost tore off their hinges as Cooper rapidly pulled the cord to yank them up. What? Lauren gasped through the phone, and that was all it took for Green to dash over to the windows to see for himself. What little breath he had completely escaped him as he simply stared. The hotel was still standing, somehow, but a large plume of smoke was already beginning to tower in the sky. Bricks and gargoyles were falling, and the crowd of panicked guests was evident to see in the lit streets below. The building was collapsing like an immense house of cards, and when it fell, the destruction would be great. Do you think she got out? Ben asked. Cooper glanced over at Green, both frozen at the window. Better question. Did she do it? The woman in question appeared behind them soundlessly, immediately gripping the back of the couch for support. Her wheezing, pained voice hit their senses before her bloodied scent did. Did the authenticator device work? Both men whirled around, immediately moving to surround her as she swayed, lifting her broken hand to cough into that elbow. Green's nostrils flared at the stench of copper. There was so much blood. Sit down. His tone left no room for arguments. Valve of command effortlessly weaving itself through the room, swirling and suffocating everything in its midst. Midst. Can I speak? Apparently not. Cooper's knees buckled, but the command wasn't. Sorry about that. My mom just came in and gave me a sausage Link, like one of those snack jerky sausage links that she got from the Mennonite store near our new property. It's pretty good. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, Cooper's knees buckled, but the command wasn't aimed at him. Every ounce of it was aimed at her. Winter swayed on her feet, putting most of her weight on her right foot as she hacked up blood into her elbow once more. Did it work or not? Was that one not the right one? That hotel is collapsing. If I need to go back in there for another one, I do not have a lot of time. A loud and angry snarl erupted from the furious Alpha, ricocheting off of the walls and floors, sending vibrations through the two people in closest proximity. Cooper's eyes widened as his beast instinctively cowered within, eyes glowing a coyote yellow. And yet the woman just kept talking. Oh, but if that one does not work, I got these. I am unsure why you are growling, though. She turned around to lean against the couch, backing, her bloodied arm fishing into her jacket pocket for something as she had another coughing fit. Blood dribbled down her chin as it leaked from the corners of her mouth. Green tried. He really, really did. Truly. But seeing her coughing, still trying to talk, leaning so heavily, injured after all of that, his patience snapped. He moved faster than she could anticipate, pulling her from the couch and lifting her up with ease, carefully navigating her to lay down on the couch. Excuse me, put me down at once, she protested amidst coughing and wheezing, trying to wiggle out of his sturdy arms. I'll grab the kit. Cooper raced out of the room, back in time to see Green holding Winters down by her shoulders. Stay put. Again, the Alpha command just slid around her, much to his utter annoyance. I will be fine. Now, that's what we call a mouthful of bullshit, Winters, Cooper interrupted, ripping open the first aid kit. Every nerve ending of his, i.e. Cooper, was on high alert, even as he kept talking, keeping his tone light and even. He knew the tiger was just under Green's skin, fighting his friend tooth and nail for control. Later, Cooper would wonder why this woman got under Green's normally thick skin, but right now, all he could do was mitigate the situation. Hint, hint. Anyway, Cooper was good at that. Mostly. Green was breathing through his nose, forcing air in and out. Blood pumped through his veins, throbbing throughout his body. Nature magic clung to his skin, sending little bolts of electricity everywhere. His beast snarled, rearing its anger, slamming once more against the strong mental barriers. Green was dangerously close to losing control, but Winters kept fighting to sit up. Couldn't she sense the danger? It all but screamed in the atmosphere, the tension bad enough to be sliced with a plastic fork. His eyes were not normal, not that she was looking. Fur was sprouting in patches on his skin. He knew the claws were nearly out, but he didn't want to hurt her any more than she already was, so it took everything he had to keep normal nails. Winters was still struggling with her pockets. But I got more technology things. Devices. Yeah, those. Mumbling through the blood in her mouth, she just kept going. Here, wait, let me up. Green covered her mouth with his hand. Her eyes were wide. He could smell the adrenaline seeping out of her. She was still in fight or flight mode. Or flight or fight mode. Perhaps even in shock due to her injuries. He needed to see how bad they were. He needed her to stop fighting him. Winters, stop talking, please, and let me get a look at you. The order was bordering on an aggressive plea. She did stop mumbling through his hand long enough to bite and lick at his hand, trying to shrug it off her face. He leaned down and growled, nearly nose to nose with the stubborn Fae. She tried biting him again, wiggling her hand out of her flopped jacket pocket. Without breaking eye contact, Green found the pocket in her trembling hand. His longer, stronger fingers deftly took the 3 items with ease from her, tugging only a little as she coughed into his hand. Cooper. Got it. Cooper moved quickly, grabbing the 3 items and rushing over to the forgotten phone situated by the computer at the bar still. Ben, Lauren, we have another phone, the authenticator device for it, I am assuming, and a thumb drive? Winters, what is this? He called out. She tried to respond, but ended up biting Green's hand again, rolling her eyes. Figure it out. Green snarled in response, never taking his intense gaze off of her. Behave? Hissing quietly, he waited for her to stop fighting. He needed her to stop. He was afraid of what control he might lose if she didn't. Got it, Cooper mumbled, beginning to converse with Ben on what the heck to do with the new items, keeping one ear open just in case magic began getting thrown around, or a tiger spontaneously combusted. You know, whichever one was first. Winters rolled her eyes, but finally relaxed on the couch, adrenaline slowly draining from her eyes as pain and exhaustion began to set in. Still, there was confusion in those blue eyes as she watched him warily. Green took his hand back from her mouth, wiping bloody saliva onto his pant leg before grabbing the discarded tissues to begin wiping away at her face. She lifted her good hand to help, but seemed to think better of it when he gave her a steely look. Tension rolled off of him in waves, buffeting her confused aura. He was angry, raging, seething, yet somehow caring. It confused him just as much as her, but for him it was simple. Winters had just risked everything from him and his, while he had been forced to sit back and watch idly. She had almost died, and he couldn't do anything about it. Whether that had been her choice or not, it still didn't sit right with him. Now that she was back within his grasp, he couldn't not tend to her injuries. It would weigh too heavily on his conscience if he didn't. With her somewhat complacent, and at least at the moment, he began inspecting her injuries. Where does it hurt? Her nose was broken with multiple cuts and abrasions to her face hidden underneath tears, snot, and blood. But everything else he couldn't see beneath the jacket. I'm fine. She ignored the glare and stared at the ceiling. Lies. 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 Lies had a particular scent, almost like a sensation across his hypothetical cat whiskers. It was a tingle, and a bad one that sent warning signals immediately down his spine. That was not the question. His hands were the complete opposite of his tone. Gentle swipes with soft tissues on fragile skin, nimble fingers delicately lifting her pained limbs to see if anything else was broken. With what he had just seen, she would be lucky if the worst of her injuries was a broken nose, a coyote bite, and a broken hand. He didn't miss her wince and little jerk as he lifted her left arm. Despite this, she tried to tug it out of his grip, but ended up wincing even more. What's wrong here? Nothing. Let me go, please. Tingles. She wouldn't dare meet his heavy gaze. Green did no such thing, instead gently lifting her arm more, rotating it, ignoring her muffled, painful groan. It didn't seem broken, just bruised. What happened when you went into that room? Air was sucked through gritted teeth as her eyelids squeezed shut. Which one? Wrathful rage slowly slid through his veins, seeking the very last stretches of his patience. The one where you got this jacket. One tap on the worn, stinky leather made her pale a little more. Ignoring her for the moment, he lifted the jacket and peered under to see if there were any new blood spots on her shirt. He did not miss the wooden splinters lingering in the fabric or the myriad of bloody spots blooming all over her left side, all conveniently hidden by the drywall-covered jacket. She coughed once. A gurgle drowned her voice for a moment, and he grabbed another tissue, dabbing at her mouth. He could smell her confusion and his own. Why did he care so much? Instinct drove him to it, but that didn't mean he didn't question it. Instead of answering his questions, she stared at his hand as he put the bloody tissues aside. Why are you doing this? Taking care of me. Her brow was furrowed, and a piece of drywall fell from her bloody hair onto the couch. Her eyes were glazed over, staring at the space between them. Just answer the question, Winters. Keeping his anger in check, he easily lifted her up, taking off the jacket. She was little more than a limp doll, still staring into that space. No. You should not care. But why do you? A silent whisper, whether meant for him or her, he heard it all the same. What is happening? His eyes searched the space between them two, roving left and right, but there was just the darkness of the early morning and not much else. Still, She stared like something was there. Could she read his emotions? His thoughts? The inner turmoil as instinct and logic waged a jarring battle inside his skull? With magic, anything is possible. Words spoken by an old, nearly forgotten mentor echoed in his head. He spoke carefully, focused on her now bare arms. Her left side was swelling, skin mottled with new fresh bruises, wooden splinters sticking out of her pores, and blood trickling in tiny crack-like rivers. He didn't have to look to know that the damage continued down her entire left side, but she had had genes to protect her mostly. Don't think too deeply into it, Winters. As you said, you are likely my only hope for finding the missing child I am looking for, and given your skill set, I am inclined to believe you may be correct, despite our difficulties and your tendency to make messes. His words cut deeper near the end, harsher than he wanted them to. Now, what happened in that room, I will not ask again. But he breathed deeply, reaching for that patience buried deep, deep within. Yet the glaze in her eyes dissipated when she took a deep breath, closing her eyes and shaking her head once. Fine. Her voice was monotone, words clipped. Hale was in her bathroom. The authenticator device was on the desk. She heard the commotion outside, came and saw me taking the device. A fight ensued. In the jacket? What happened during the fight? His jaw was beginning to get sore with how much he was grinding his teeth. She did not open her eyes. She lunged for me. I threw a lamp at her face. She threw me into her dresser. Then I killed her. Her pitch was even, with absolutely no sympathy wavering her voice. She felt nothing for the dead vampire. His beast stirred like a prowling, hungry cat around a mouse. It wanted to come out and play. No. And the jacket? Her jaw tightened, but her head tilted up. Still, her eyes stayed closed. If you wish to accuse me of going to that hotel for the jacket, that is fine. I will not lie and say it was not a motivation, but I promised I would help you, and that was the main reason I went. He carefully let her go, clenching his hands together. Green didn't even begin to understand what was clearly so important about that damn jacket to her, but she hadn't lied to him. That was her only saving grace right now. No more lies. Would you have gone in if I had told you no? Or later? For that jacket? If he gripped his hands any tighter, his bones would break, splintering like little carrots inside his skin. Yes, her immediate answer did nothing to dissolve his anger. Still, she is not lying. I just don't like the truth she is sharing. And what happened to not making a mess? Why didn't you just get in and out when you had the device? Purple eyelids flickered but stayed closed. Her hand seemed deceptively still, almost too still. Every muscle between the two of them was taut with the tension coiled in the air, but his beast stayed beneath human flesh, and her shadows stayed away. For now. Ba-boom. Sorry, headset died. Or turned off, rather. I made a mistake, and oh no, shit, Sherlock. The scathing retort burst off his tongue, silencing her cutting tone. Nails began to bite, claws taking shape in his grip. Blowing up an entire hotel? What was your first clue? Oh, wait. How about not getting out of there as soon as you had the authenticator? Wait, what? You wanted another outfit. Was that it? To be prey for the entire damn army? If you would let me finish. The haunting tenor in her voice almost made him lose it. Her eyes may have remained closed, but he knew they were icy cold. A lethal mix of magic and shadow, just as he glowed with his beast. I was not supposed to kill any vampires, but I killed 2. I had to cover my tracks. I just did not know it would be like that. Muttering angrily under her breath, she bit her bottom lip and inhaled sharply, hands clenching and unclenching. Frustration rolled off of her, buffeting his heightened senses like a tsunami. She hated the situation just as much as him, and yet they were somehow stuck together. Not for much longer, Green promised himself. He couldn't handle this much longer. Wouldn't. As for not leaving the hotel as soon as I had Hale's device, if you would kindly recall our conversation prior to my entering the premises, you two were unsure if the device would work. So I thought if I could find another phone and another authenticator. Okay, yeah. Lucky me, they both came to me. She paused for a moment and he remembered the vampire that had disappeared. The final room was a last-minute surprise, so to speak. It had more of those computer things and had some sort of access to a database, like the one I found out about previously. I was told to plug in. She said it like it was a strange term. That little rectangular thing, and hit a few buttons. So I did, and something got put on there, I think. Uncertainty colored her tone, and her previous confusion was back, eyebrows furrowing as she had another coughing fit. This time, Green put a wad of clean tissues in her good hand and let her take care of herself, tossing the empty box to the side. He eyed the mess around them, noting the blood staining the beige fabric couch, used and discarded medical supplies all over the floor, blood on the cheap beige rug, and the discount coffee table had several new scuffs on it as he shifted his perch on the groaning table to look around. He sighed, rubbing the back of his tight neck. Green would need to leave a large deposit to the apartment owner for damages when they left. As he rubbed and loosened his neck muscles, he asked another question. Who told you to do that? She hesitated. Green's gaze zeroed in on her once more. Winters? Licking her lips, it was clear she was either stalling or struggling with how much to say. The shadows did. She straightened her posture, on the defensive. Her eyelids scrunched down, refusing to open. Green stared, perplexed at her answer. On the one hand, he was a shifter, alpha to a pack that was some 200 strong. He could talk to any one of them at any time through the pack link, like it was a normal face-to-face conversation. To an extent, Green could do a lot more. But shadows? Shadows weren't people. Yet he remembered the whispers and faces in the vortex. How she had talked to something at several points in the short time he had known her. With magic, anything is possible. Not that he believed it. Shadows. How? Winters licked her lips once. I cannot tell you that. Green didn't miss how her too-still hand was picking at a jagged tear in her ruined jeans, or how she had a slight tremor. Was that fear? Her injuries taking their toll? Or something else? Yes, you can. He wasn't going to let this go. Green wanted answers. If Winters expected him to trust her, especially after the hotel, which was collapsing a few streets away, yeah, no, he was getting answers. I cannot. The tear got bigger. You can and you will. The alpha command slipped into his voice on instinct, rage tightening his vocal cords. That does not work on me. Her eyelids fluttered like she was about to open them, but they stayed firmly shut. She coughed again into her arm. What part of cannot do you not understand? Breathe. Rip. Tear. Shake. Breathe. Winters. Green began slowly, pearly fangs flashing as he gritted his teeth. If you expect us to trust you, I do not. That made him sit back, thin blades of shock and whiplash quieting the rage pounding in his skull. And I do not want you to. Her fingers shook, little denim fibers under her dirty fingernails on her lap, floating to the floor. All of her nervous energy was channeled into ruining her jeans, as if that would make everything okay. I am not someone to be trusted. I am not a good person. I do not expect you to trust me, just work with me. I ask for nothing else in return other than keep your heads down. Do not make them mad. A dry snort filled with venom left her, and he unconsciously shifted on the creaking coffee table, hanging on to every syllable. Although that should be easy, given what I just did. I can't believe this. Winter spoke the truth, but Green still looked for a lie. There had to be a lie, somewhere. Because otherwise it didn't make sense. Irritation slithered down his spine, constricting around him. Why? Why was nothing straight with this woman? If you want us to work with you, then I need to be able to trust you. Winters finally opened her eyes, leveling her gaze to his as best she could, given their height difference. You have been doing it this entire time. What is a little longer? He hated that she was right. You said you would give information. That would lead somewhere. She glanced over at Cooper, huddled over on the computer. Apologies, but did the phones not provide sufficient proof? Not good information? Oh, plenty of info, Winters, but not anything useful where I can find my missing kid. Her eyes seemed to take on an otherworldly glow as the shadows made themselves known once more. All information is useful. It can provide a clue or evidence, something that can lead you to the next clue, then the next, till you eventually find what you were looking for. Breathe. Rip. There. Breathe. This isn't some sort of investigative spy game. Spit hit the back of his teeth. This is real life, and there is a real kid in danger. I am very aware. Like shards of glass crystallized into a verbal weapon, her gaze was icy cold, meeting his hot, furious glare. But since you pointed that out, why do you think I am gathering clues for you? If it was so easy to go get this child back, you would have done so a week ago. She was deadly calm. He was deadly enraged. Winters waited for him to speak, giving Green the courtesy. Green's jaw ticked. Silence was the deafening answer, a tsunami on the senses, as he detested how right she was. It was supposed to be simple, but nothing ever is. Winters made a noise, and inside his skull the tiger snarled. Do you even know why the child was taken? Horrible timing, as I am hours later to getting to this again. Apologies, because this is beginning to get intense. Okay. She made a noise, and inside his skull the tiger snarled. Do you even know why the child was taken? Surely stealing a child under shifter protection, or even a shifter child, would spark a war between the two people. Fangs, pointy and lethal, poked holes in his tongue. Earthy copper tones hit his taste buds, crimson liquid lingering in his mouth as he forced himself to swallow. His Adam's apple felt like a large stone lodged in too tight of a space. So, going off that observation, she flexed and popped her fingers, one at a time, using just her one hand and opposing forearm. The beast's hackles raised at every single pop. Fingers were like carrots, easy to snap, to break. Shadows intensified around them, menacing whispers just behind his ears doing nothing for his tenuous grasp of control of reality. Only Winters remained calm, like nothing was amiss. The child must be an assurance or bargaining chip, so the vampires would naturally want them protected under tight security with multiple locks and keys. A top secret. Not just anyone would know that this child was taken, separated from the other victims of human trafficking most assuredly. So the reason why they were taken must be of high value for the vampires to expend this much energy. She waited, looking at him, waiting as if he wasn't about to lose control and eat her. It took every modicum of self-restraint to speak. Instead of growling or snarling, spit dripped from the corners of his crinkly lips, twisting into a grimace. I don't care why. I just want to get her back. Rip. Tear. Kill. She sighed quietly, pursing her lips as she glanced with interest at the air around him, in between them, on him, anywhere but his eyes or his face. His neck pulse throbbed, blood pumping harder as he fought not to shift. He had not lost control in over 100 years. He was not going to let some little fae take that away from him. He was Karen Green, Alpha to the United States' largest pack, not some weakling whelp who was ruled by emotion. He was better than that. But the way she was investigating the air and not giving him her utmost attention, it was insulting. Grating. He was someone who prided himself on respect, both given and earned, and he had certainly earned it. Kindly look at me when we are having a discussion, thank you. The sentence was choppy, almost inarticulate, and filled with a long growl that ended with his tongue almost being chomped in half. I am looking at you, she said absent-mindedly as she stared at his chest, head half cocked to the side, eyes glazed over. He could smell her wonder, amazement, excitement, and it only fueled his heart-stopping rage. And I am waiting for you to speak so we can continue this conversation. A snarl rippled through the air, vibrating through him and the nearby furniture. Winters didn't even flinch, but the shadows solidified, wrapping around her like a protective coat of armor. Positively bristling, Green stood carefully, slowly, every tendon and muscle exerting just the minimum amount of energy required to stretch to his full, imposing height. Any more energy and he might break something, teetering on the edge of control, almost toppling into a dark, mindless abyss. The man didn't want that. The beast did. Stop that. Green didn't sound human. Breaths came out in short pants. His soul was singing with unbidden magic, a dark and deadly desire to let the cat out of the jungle. No. 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 I am better than this. Kill. Rip. Tear. Stop what? After a moment, Winters got up slowly, favoring her left knee while leaning heavily on her right. Shorter than him by at least 3 inches. Still, she wouldn't look at him, instead peeking around him at the air. That. If she so much as tried to lift a finger or mutter some fanciful language, it would be her end. She was doing something, and he didn't like it. Winters blinked, confusion marring that wonder, until she looked around at the shadows. Oh? Murmuring, clearly not at him. Oh. Right. She cleared her throat once, finally tilting her head up to look at him. They were too close, but neither gave any leeway, neither taking a step back. Would that be submission in the game they played? 2 dominant individuals grappling for the upper hand. If so, it was a game Green refused to lose. What were you doing? His voice turned seductive, silky smooth, like wind rustling through the trees, a teasing breeze under the intense heat of flames, the calm before a forest fire, a blaze to end all blazes. The beast crouched, waiting to feast. Winter's lips, bloodied and pale, trembled nervously, pink teeth biting down on the inside of her cheek. Her broken hand stayed near her chest over her heart. It would be the first limb to go if she didn't answer carefully. Did she know that? I was looking at your weaves. She straightened her spine, shoulders straight, gazing boldly into his eyes. I should say shoulders squared, shouldn't I? I'm going to change that because, that may not occur to me later. His eyebrows lifted in a challenge. So, magic. When the beast growled, so too did the man. I was not casting anything. Her voice was sharp, a hammer cascading into a vase, the deadly shards flying, merely reading the air. I do not intend to harm you, unlike you to me right now. Liar, you assume you know. Are you ignorant? You can tell if I am lying. You can do magic. Maybe you can hide the truth from a lie. Why would I do that? Why do any of this? I gave you my word. Your words mean nothing. The roar shook the apartment. A glass vase filled with dead tulips shuddered and fell from the kitchen countertop. 2 coffee mugs fell from a nearby end table. Even Cooper's laptop mouse bounced and moved, causing him to grab everything to keep it steady. Her voice was quiet in the midst of his roar. But yours do. The logical part of Green's brain perked up. Of course. Why should she trust their word any more than they trust hers? But the beast was slowly overcoming the man. There would be no logic in this hunt. Yes. His muscles began rippling, the shift trying to claim his human form. The expensive suit pants began to strain and tear at the seams. When she laughed, he almost lunged. There was so little space between them. It would have been too easy. Sweat dripped from his hot, tortured skin. Veins swelled and popped out of his head, throbbing. He was terrifying, and she was laughing. Her laughs turned to coughs, the blood stench not helping with his control. Winters wiped the crimson fluid on the back of her good hand, and his eyes locked onto the red smear. Now, that is a bit self-righteous. Would you not agree? She shook her head, bloodied lips twisting into a warped smile. Now you listen here, you little No. She shook her head. I do not think I will. Why? Why should I, when you are clearly too pig-headed to see? His hand shot out like a blur, almost too fast for the naked eye. With them in such close proximity, he didn't have to reach far. Sharp claws jutting out of his fingers, tickling the hairs of her arm as she cradled it to her chest. Then she disappeared. Shadows whooshed in between them, this time their claws sticking into his skin and shoving him back until his feet skidded to a halt on the cheap kitchen linoleum. That was not necessary, Winters exclaimed hotly, rounding on the thick shadows as soon as she reappeared on the opposite side of the small room. I had everything under control if you would just listen. Green felt the moment his tether snapped. Fur began to sprout out of his skin, whiskers tickling his face. It took everything he had just to remain two-legged, rage twisting bones and everything else into a horrible half-man, half-tiger form. If he had been completely aware, it would have been excruciating. I thought you said you wouldn't cast anything, Winters. The grin on Green's face matched the crazed rage of his expression. Smooth, feline grace as he moved to the other side of the room, slowly, menacingly, a deadly game of tiger and fae. Winters whirled around, hand waving to gesture back behind her, but the shadows did not move, tightly weaving around her feet, legs, and body. She backed up a few feet, looking very irate. I am not The shadows are just very concerned about you, and quite evidently they are correct to be concerned, shifter number 2, because you are losing control. Am I? He hopped over the couch, claws exposing stuffing as he left jagged holes in the worn fragment. I'm not the one using magic here, she scoffed, backing up faster. She pointed and shook a finger at him. His glowing eyes followed the finger, jaw aching to chomp. How many times do I have to say I am not using magic? The strange echo made her voice boom softly, a haunting lullaby followed by a tiger's enraged snarl. Look, the shadows do whatever the light they want. I do not control them. Lies, lies, lies. She would likely taste sweet. I am not lying to you. Use your senses. For the first time he heard a plea under the frustration, but alas, too little too late. Why should I, when you can just magic them away? Her head rolled back up to the sky, hand shaking in the air. By the gods, you are dense. Magic does not work that way for everyone, certainly not me. Need I remind you that you use magic too? He lunged again, claws sinking into her right bicep, the tiger crooning in sweet victory, only for the shadows to take away his prize. Another wall-shuddering snarl, another annoyed far behind him. Green. Green. Stop. Cooper's link sounded far away. Hey. Stop. Winter's voice sounded a lot closer, something more worthy to focus on. Hunt. Rip. Tear. Crimson blood slid down his claws. Drip. 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 Control yourself, Shifter. Do not lose control. Command and authority mustered in her feminine tone, but it was nothing compared to his. Don't lose control. You mean like you, in the hotel? It's burning down now. That's on you. Defensiveness flashed hot in her eyes as he prowled closer. She backed up. He crept closer. Cat and mouse. Tiger and Fae. I did not burn it down. Her jaw tightened. The shadows created a diversion. I do not get to decide what they do. They are your shadows, yours to command and control. Saliva dripped down his front, the tiger envisioning its delicious meal. That struck a nerve with the woman. Winter stepped closer, her hand thrusting behind her as the shadows were forced back. A wall of dense, moving black mere inches behind her. Listen here. Very carefully, she hissed, power leeching off of her skin. The tiger stilled in Green's mind, giving the man a much-needed reprieve, an opportunity to wrest back some control. Those shadows, as you call them, are sentient beings with their own thoughts and abilities. It is not my place to control them. We are bound together, nothing more. He laughed coldly in her face. White-hot anger flashed in those brilliant blue eyes, and a stream of red came from her busted nose. Her arms strained as the shadows whispered and screeched, fighting against something he couldn't see. Shadows. A husky, almost human voice whispered. Cannot be sentient. Little prey. Kieran. Stop! A voice echoed in his mind, too far away. Her chin tilted up, neck stretched in a defiance that few would have, boldly staring up into the twisted jaws of a creature torn between man and beast. Her eyes swept over the tortured, stretched human skin to the beautiful tufts of tiger pelt, bloodied fangs poking holes into stretched thin lips, and finally to the eyes, with small black pits and large green rings that spoke of alluring jungles and rushing natural rivers. She stood, spine straight, as he snarled softly in her face, waiting for her to make the smallest little move. Any single one would spell her end. The beast was almost there, ready for the final kill. This hunt had been a thrilling one for him, most prey falling easily within his strong jaws. The man had a strong mind and keen intellect. The beast had strength, speed, and agility. Together, they were nearly unstoppable. No prey had managed to escape them. and this time would be no different. Staring into those eyes, Winter spoke evenly, locking her gaze with his. Shifter to Fae. Man to woman. Hunter to hunted. Hunt me if you wish, tiger, but know this. Unlike your man, I do not control those underneath me, those bound to me. To take away one's agency? Raw, unfiltered pain made her voice shake with insurmountable rage, agony, and sorrow. It creates a gaping pit of emotion, a rabbit hole there is no coming back from. All it takes is one misstep. Her head tilted to the right. The beast copied her, grinning just a little wider. Is this what you are? What shifters are? Creatures ruled by the inner beast in an old-fashioned hierarchy where predators rule and prey are just food? Tell me. She stepped closer, her nose tickling this tattered silk shirt hanging off of the tormented figure. Do you hunt those under you? Do you cultivate their trust? Fatten them up like hogs for slaughter, then release them for some sick, twisted sport, tiger? Is that what your man does? Act like some sort of power-hungry dictator sitting atop a throne of blood and bones of the weak and unworthy? Of those different from you? All the beast felt was rage. White-hot, blistering hatred sent the half-man, half-beast into a frenzy. Fang and claw ripping through shadows that taunted him, whispering of a time long forgotten. One of a young boy and a lineage of harshmen behind him. A prosperous kingdom with beautiful forests and bounty. Headset has a wonderful time. Wonderful timing. A prosperous kingdom with beautiful forests and bounty. The rolling hills hiding the struggling slums far below. Royalty on high, with poverty down low. A monarchy dedicated to the rules of the animal kingdom, separating individuals by the beast within. Predator. Prey. It was a no-win system, one the boy hated. The boy had wanted to escape. The man thought he had. Rage. It was all he knew. Rage for the boy. Rage for the man. Rage for the truth he could not escape. Because as much as Green had tried, was the Fae right? Perhaps the boy had not grown into the man he had desperately wanted to become. Perhaps the tiger could not escape the destiny that had been written for him. Rage. Well, I think that's a good spot to stop. uh, yeah, I'd say that's a good spot. uh, is it bad that I had an absolute blast writing that? Yeah, I have to say, I think that still hits. I think that is still good. I don't know if it's good. It's meant to be like creepy and chaotic and out of control and showing the flaws in both of them to a explodey sort of way. Mhm. Yeah. Ultimately, reading this again, what I feel like where we went wrong is Winters is too alien, and Green was already. The problem is that he knew he was losing control. He didn't realize just how close he was to losing it, because he's got a bit of a blood curse going on. Because shifters aren't supposed to be able to do half and half. They like they'll get a couple of things that'll pop out, but they don't get like the twisting bones half and half. It's either you're a man with some furry features or animal features, or a woman, or you are the animal. There is like no in between there unless you are special and cursed. And here's a little bit of ironic lore for you that he has no idea, and neither does she, or really anybody, except for the species of the perpetrators. Ironically, that blood curse was put on his bloodline by Faye. But Winters is not Faye. I feel like, well, that might be a spoiler for anybody who's tuning in for the first time. For those who I feel like at least are going to watch this, they know that she's not, so, hey. Yeah, I feel like that definitely happened, and then her being just so nonchalant was really just... And then she just kind of started going at him, and then, like, they can't communicate. And she's not letting them in. Don't trust me. Oh, wait, why aren't you trusting me? Like, it's a whole bunch of back and forth. And, oh, you're not using magic. But yes, she is. She is using magic. But, like, her definition of using magic and his definition of using magic are very different. I love them. They're both exceptionally stupid, and I love them. I say as he's trying to eat her right now. And not in a fun way. But that is officially the that night part of the chapter over. And we are on page 86 of 175. We have 4 different parts left. We have covered 3, so we've covered the first evening, the next day, that night. We're on the early morning. Then after that, it will be a new dawn, which is Winter's little part, by the way. The Crimson Sunrise and a epilogue. I'm going to give you guys the first sentence of the next part because it makes me giggle 6 ways to Sunday. To say that Cooper was feeling stressed was an understatement. Because all of this was going on in Cooper's feet. He's just feet away. With the computer, the 2 cell phones, the 2 authenticators, a thumb drive. He's got Ben and Lauren on the phone. They can hear, everybody can hear this going on in the background. Ripped Cooper, man. I will say everything will be fine. Because, this is the prequel. We have to write the first book. We have to finish the first story. Technically, I've already finished the first draft. I'm just going in for a rewrite. Anyway, which is turning into a different draft entirely, but whatever. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. Y'all let me know if y'all want more of this next week or if y'all want Tenets. I know y'all are like, oh, whichever one, I'm good with whatever. I just, I don't know, like, we're in an action part. If anybody's actually caring about the story, I don't know if they are actually. I don't know. I'm giving y'all the option. Imposter syndrome and, the little voice in my head that's like, why the hell are you doing this is, very much in my head at the moment. But anyway. for what it's worth, I do hope you enjoyed this. This ended up being longer than I anticipated, but that's okay. It will get uploaded whenever it'll get uploaded. Hopefully tomorrow slash today, because it's like 12:43 a.m. on Wednesday. But I am gonna get it uploaded on the next day or two. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a great day, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you want. If you want to, do not feel obligated. And yeah, I will go take my giggling self somewhere else, likely to bed. So have a good one, y'all, and I'll be back on Sunday. I will do my best to actually, do it on Sunday. So yeah, bye.